This clip is brought to you by Mark Bell Slingshot. This gear is made for lifters by lifters. Enjoy this clip.
Go ahead. I was going to say, being a strength coach, how do you sift through like current trends of like what people should and shouldn't be doing in the weight room, and then also just maybe naturally what some of your guys might gravitate towards? Maybe they see something on Instagram and they're like, I want to try this knees over toes program, or I want to try this new thing that they see out there. How do you rein the guys back in? Do you give them freedom? Like, where do you lie on that?
Yeah, good question. And with social media now, they do see all of that stuff. And I like it because what it ultimately does, it just creates buy-in to taking care of your body, right? And there's not too many things that I would say you really shouldn't do. So for the most part, I'll say, hey, if you like that idea, let's find a way to mix it in a little bit, right? Or educate on when to do it, when we shouldn't do it. But I actually really like when they bring me stuff, because it just means you're actively engaged with that process. And then I can use that to obviously, hey, you want to do that? Great, we can add that here, but you got to do this too. So it creates ultimately, I think, more buy-in. But usually it just starts with the education of when to do something, when not to do it. Hey, that makes a lot of sense, but you happen to be 6'10", 250 pounds, and that might not. But let's regress that and do it this way, right? And so just finding ways to, I think, mix in the things that they think they might like. Or sometimes we'll just try and they're like, oh, damn, I don't really like that. That's fine too.
6'10", 250.
Yeah.
It's a lot of mass. But actually, on top of what he just asked, what have you been seeing? Because, like, obviously, we've had Ben Patrick on the show. We've had those guys from GOTA who work with a lot of field athletes on the show. And I'm just curious, like, since you've been working with NBA players and college-level players too, what from some of these practices has actually been very effective? Like, what have you been able to take and use and see being very effective for some of these players?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, things like knees over toes is and full credit to the branding that's gone behind that and pushed in the content machine to allow that. But at one level, like, we've known getting your knees over your toes is good for you for years, right? We've seen research on that stuff. Mm-hmm. And more so, I think a lot of people are afraid to allow the knees to go over the toes.
Yeah.
And so it's like the flip of that. Like, it's okay if that happens, because ultimately force has to go somewhere. So if you limit the translation of the knee going forward, then the force is just going to get shot up to the hip or maybe get stuck in the ankle. So you have to disperse force some way. So allowing the joints to move freely is important. So things like that are important, and you gravitate toward it. But there's so much out there with social media that for the most part, if there's an idea that I like, then I'll just go to the research and say, oh, does this make sense, and how can we mix this in? And there's some ideas that are like, that sounds really cool for social media.
You like Seidman?
I don't have a problem with him, okay. But so much, I also like separate, I think, thought processes from clickbait information. It's like you do that because you want to create.
Mm-hmm. You want to even admit that, yeah.
And you want, and it's fine because people will follow you, and then you'll sell a book and like whatever. You got bills to pay. So I never hate on anybody putting money in their pocket. But I always just stop at, like, as soon as you start claiming injuries will occur, it's like, we don't know enough about that stuff. No matter who
injuries will occur if you do this.
If you do this, or if you don't do this.
If you do full range of motion squats, you're more likely to get injured.
Yeah.
As opposed to my quarter squat or whatever.
Yeah, as opposed to my perfect 90 degrees. And it's like,
right.
Okay, that's where I
very difficult to say that for sure.
Yeah, like, we just don't. It's really hard to study injury, and you can't appreciate that through social media and how much people put out there. But unless you put some fear in somebody, they're not going to follow you or buy your book or whatever. So, like, I get it, and like, whatever, I respect the hustle, but it's so hard to understand injury, because injury is binary. You either got hurt or you didn't get hurt. Mm-hmm. But the challenge with that is that the odds of injury are not binary. So it's very much possible that somebody almost got hurt but didn't, right? And so because of that, it's really hard to understand how training would influence somebody's injury risk. Because the only thing we know is, did you get hurt, did you not get hurt? But it's possible that you were playing through pain and you never missed a game. So you actually were injured but not classified as injured because you didn't miss a game.
So, Pat Project family, I hope you enjoyed this clip. We are on Discord and Reddit. We're trying to talk to you guys and build a community down there. So the links are in the bio. But remember, like, comment, subscribe, share this out with people so you can share the wealth of health. As cheesy as that fucking sounds. Peace.